Welcome to Warblog. Today I'm going to look at advance on Al-Tamanah. This is a stunning vista. Now it sort of works on several fronts really. The first being obviously the front line being like this. But what happens is that the HayAt Tahrir Al Sham units, there they are, they advance, they make a sort of an attack and take these places. And then after that, the Syrian Army counter-attack and let's do it in green and take all of that. So maybe that should make sense. So you've got this sort of initial attack to take it. So this is the starting line, and then they sort of preempt an attack and take these places, and then they are pushed back. And that's where the ceasefire kicks in. I think they've already broken the ceasefire now. So it's a sort of fairly complex situation that I think needs a lot of thinking about, and then you've got to sort of say, well, what sort of thinking does that require? And that's sort of an interesting question really, because if you look here, it's quite open along here. Hang on one second. What I'm going to do, because the Syrian Army are going first, I'm going to put HayAt Tahrir Al Sham units, HayAt Tahrir Al Sham units to go first. Okay, so I restarted it. Obviously with the intention of the HayAt Tahrir Al Sham units going first. Now the question is, what to do? Well, this is what I like about these games, but you've got to, I think you could spend so much time thinking about it that you're not going to play it in one hit. And I probably repeat myself a lot, but I think it's important to have a game in which thinking is a central and critical part of play. There's a lot of games I think you just sort of fire them up and just think, oh, okay, I'm just going to charge forward with this and this and that, and just start moving everything forward. You know, I mean, he could move there, and he could move there, and you could be that unit. You know, and I get tired of that. I get tired of seeing it, particularly in sort of most games that I see, and I think, well, there have been games that I've seen, and some of them I sort of remember in particular, not for any special reason, but these were I can't remember what they were. They're more like three-dimensional games where you sort of get some tanks and some units and soldiers, and you know, you've got like a football field type size battle area, and you know, you've got some objectives, and you see some of them, like, you probably recall, they just sit there and say, well, okay, well, this is, you know, where we are, and we need to sort of got lines of fire here, I'm going to go this way, I'm going to do that. And you spend 10 minutes planning, you know, the gameplay, and I think the same thing can be done here, easily and readily. But, you know, so I might not even get to play any of this, but I'm not going to focus on this area just yet. So I'm going to sort of look at these objectives. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the question is really, to what extent do we think we can take these, and can we take them all in one hit? Well, I think the limiting factor will be twofold. to a lesser extent with regards to these HayAt Tahrir Al Sham units, because they've got insurgents, irregulars. Firstly, the distance. Secondly, the zones of control, and in part also the terrain. That hex there is going to be a problem. So the distance, you've got to say, well, what is that? Well, that is the furthest unit away to some extent, but not really. I mean, it's no further from that. 1, 2 hexes, 1, 2. So nothing is really more than 2 hexes away. Obviously, this one is right in there. So what we could do with this one, for example, is use back units. So, for example, instead of attacking this unit with this, use some of these, if we can. So you've got motorized units there. These can come down here and essentially try and destroy these units. So, with that in mind, you might think, well, okay, well, what can we do on that? So we've got some units in there. Let's assume there are 3 motorized irregulars. We could probably go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could probably surround that unit one way or another. Now these are, well, obviously the rockets, but let's get into sort of play mode. So there's 2 irregulars there, 2 irregulars there, 2 anti-tank there, 2 irregulars there. So we don't really have much scope. But these could probably get 2 hexes to there. So we could probably get these units 1, 2. So in fact, because these ones won't be able to really, they might be able to get into play there. 1, 2, 3. Because part of it's along the track, you might be able to get one of these units there, thus relying on this. But these units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, could possibly get there. So we don't want to commit these to fighting these. I think in a nutshell, we've got 3 motorized there. We're going to be hard pressed to get those because we've got this stack, these that could possibly come down here. 1, 2, 1, 2. We could probably get there, so we could probably move these there. But we've got to bear in mind the front line. And we could probably deal with this one with these 2 units. So in order to stop this unit from reinforcing, we could move these units sort of there and there, and at least fight that with there and there, and fight that, pushing them back to there, or something along those lines. So we could possibly use these and these against that, pushing down on this front. But I think that getting to this stage, because there's 6 units in there, in fact they're actually quite tough. In actual fact, I've made a major blunder right from the start, and that is that these units here are they're over 5, so we're just simply not going to get our irregular bonus. So the only way these are going to really be taken out is with indirect fire, the rockets and the artillery and the anti-tank. So bearing that in mind, we've only got 2 soft targets here, so we could possibly get 2, 4, but even there's fairly big targets in Hissing Hills, so we could probably get 4 units in there. But what we could possibly do is move 2 units into here to push through here, and then move the other units 1, 2, 3, so we can get both of these hexes, because we can't really move into there, we'll stop. So we could possibly maneuver our front line kinetically to something like that from what it is at the moment. When I say kinetically, I mean with troop movements. Rocket fire, now this might be slightly different as a sort of strategic focus on the initial actions. Most of this rocket fire can get something, 1, 2, 3, 4, so we might be able to just route them with rockets and anti-tank, and or a combination. If we can whittle these down to something clearly below 5, we can then attack them. So, bearing that in mind, and this is the essence of thinking, I think, bearing that in mind, let's just use the tool at face value here, counting all the rockets and anti-tank that we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now he's 1, 2, 3, 4. You can get in there. 8. And that's pretty much it. So now looking at the spread, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 targets. Now we could possibly do these kinetically. So what can we do? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, he can only really fire at these units in the hills. Now it might be worth doubling that up with this other rocket fire here. Now these anti-tank we have to either move into range or they won't be able to commit them. So that's 9. Anyway, I didn't count these. 10, but I don't think they're going to be in range without moving them and losing their. I don't think, they have to get within 2. So this one will get all into this hex here. Then, that's all they'll do there, and that requires moving everything. Now we've got some more units up here that could possibly come in. Talking about these mobile units, we've got 1, 2, 3. And I think what we'll try and do first is strategically deploy, or strategically commit the indirect fire to these. So I think what we really want to be doing is committing that fire against these big targets. Now obviously this one's going to go against that, and we'll double that up with whatever we can get from this section. So this section essentially is just going to be committed against that. Here we're going to rely on kinetics, because we're going to do whatever we've got left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One, 2, 3. So that's my game plan. And obviously there's a bigger stack in there. So in the first instance, I'm going to try these 2 rocket units against that. And I think that will be a good indicator, because if it totally fails, I might then commit these other units against that as well. These are actually anti-tank, so we might not be able to hit. Let's just see what these 2 rockets can do first. So we've done a lot of thinking, and we've decided to come up, and I still feel like I'm rushing it, but we're going to fire these 2 batteries, so to speak, companies, batteries, and to see how that shapes progress moving forward. Right, so which one? We want to actually be a bit particular about which one we want on this. So this is 10C. We want item 10C. There he is. Okay. Ooh, 0.7, 0.4. Okay. We want 9D. 2.9. Now that could change things. So he's at 0.3 and he's at 0.7, which is not particularly great. So 0.3 of 3 is 0.6, which means that he is 30% down, which means he's 0.7, 2.1. So 2.1 plus about 2.8 puts that up to 5.2, which means he's probably just a tad over. See, this is how it works. He's probably just a tad over 5, which means that he's still not a suitable target for an insurgent assault, which means we've got to commit ourselves to either more artillery or some of this anti-tank. So what else have we got? Now these two anti-tank units are perfectly placed for that. However, we've got some anti-tank under there as well. Decisions. Right, how far can they move? Okay, I'm going to move this unit into there. So 9G. No. What unit is it? You don't know what unit it is because he's in 9G, but they'll all be in 9G. I'm going to use these anti-tank units against that. Right. So to make it, we've got a lot we can get in there as well. And which ones do we want to do? Well, one of them from 9H. Now the thing is not correct on that. That's a pain. I don't know which one I'm going to be firing with. Which is something that needs to be corrected in the game. Alternatively, what I can do is commit the rocket fire on these other units, and these are anti-tank units on this. So what I'm going to do, because I feel that I have little choice on this, I'm going to move these units like that, and this was just a sort of, so we can still fire. I'm going to fire against that. So these are from 10I. They're the only ones in range. Yes, okay. So neither of them are depressed, so we'll go for that. Hit 1. And we'll double up on that. 0.6, it's 0.7. Well, I think the problem is I'm trying to do it all in one hit, and I don't think it's possible now. However, the gameplay was to put this into there, and that into there, and use them against this. So he is at 0.7 and he is at 3.3, so let's go to this one. 0.2. So that one's fairly pathetic, really. Okay, we've got one more opportunity here. Let's just look at his number, 10F. Alright, here he is there. Okay. 2.9, 3.6. So I'm going to do a calculation on this using my calculator off screen. Calculate. So this one's at 2.13. And this guy doesn't seem to have a clear thing. It seems to sort of offer me the ability to clear. I have another calculator. I can't believe that calculator is so rubbish. Right. I can't believe I'm having so much difficulty. Okay, so what was he? 1.2, 2.1? He's worth 2.1, and he's worth 1.9. So they're going to be worth about 4 in total. So, according to my calculations, and to be quite honest, this is where I start to feel very not confident on what happens, is that they're less than 5. So, should be, and I've put these units there sensitively on purpose, so I'm going to have to sort of do something there. So these units, so if these were 4, I'm going to still need to get a lot around them, so I'm going to commit this guy there, these guys are going to go 1, 2, and what does that give them? 0.6 movement. Right, so how far can these guys get? Let's just see. Oh yes, okay, so I don't think we can get there, but we should be able to get there. Right, so is that enough to do something against this stack? And what happens if we don't have our +5 bonus? Well, let's just do it. I'm going to give up with thinking because it's too complex and it looks like there's lots of units. Okay, so we had 2 to 1 odds. And we didn't get our... Oh, they were 4.95. What were we fighting at? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus. So we didn't get it. We didn't get it. Perhaps it's rounded up. We had 8 with a 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%. So that would have been 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's exactly the odds that we got. We were below the 5 barrier, but it possibly it's rounded up because we didn't get our bonus, and we were fortunate. And so we removed them from the board. So that's interesting. Right, so these units can still, in theory, get all the way down to there. So they follow the same route, but they're not being damaged yet. We might as well commit these against that, just for the hell of it. So what we've got now is a sort of, not so much a review stage, but we've gotten through a couple of stages with core artillery, direct area fire, resolution, to determine how that changed the situation. And then we've got the outcoming of this major offensive on Sham Al-Hawa. So, which we won, but we can't get anything in there, or we could probably drive these guys in there. With the next stage being to somehow with what we've got left, take out these 2 stacks. And he's been hit once. Ah, we didn't calculate the fact they were in a village. You want to commit all this rocket fire and also, so these guys are not going to get anything. Moving further in that direction. So, I don't think we can fight that stack too big. But we might be able to bring them down here. So, we'll put them there. Okay. Let's do it. Just enough movement to engage. These guys move there. They seem to have moved. So from there, move into there. Let's leave that for the time being. So this road is just rubbish. Let's go up there, down there, down here. Hopefully we're going to get there. One, two, three, four. Might be easy to go through here. Nope, I'm stuck there. Oh, let's get the hell of it. Right, confusion. So we can still move that guy. We have anything there, nothing in there. But this stack here we can also move into there. So we can sort of either commit to attacking this stack and punching on that. Now he'll be able to attack that, but he'll have to move there. So we won't be able to attack anything. This tanks can be able to do anything. Let's put everything we've got onto that. Or more, there's a lot of it. How can we get onto this? Okay. Well, let's just do it. 3. was overspending here, but oh god, don't need that. 3. Let's go for it. Oh, 2 no effects. That's like, well, so what does that give us? 0.4 and 6. So he's going to be about 4.5. We probably won't get a bonus on that based on previous experience, but we might be able to get so much around it. There really isn't anything extra to move, is there? No, he can move. Okay, that's a little brighter. We possibly push some units here into there. Let's see what he does. No, that's as far as he's going to go. I don't think that's near enough. Oh no, we've got 3 rockets. Okay, well, what can we do here? We might be able to route that unit. So let's try. No. Right. So I'm going to get about 8. Let's see. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's changed. But one of them routed. Well, that was interesting because we pushed the front line to something reasonable. He's at 1.4. Nothing else that can affect that at all. I think that's interesting really because that is the crux of this first turn. And I'm sort of thinking, well, to take it any further, firstly we'd have to sort of come up with a concise estimate of what we're going to do over here. And if it was a planning tool, you could sort of say, well, okay, well, this is the likely outcome, and in the knowledge and understanding of that likely outcome, we can actually start to sort of plan for what we could do here. Now, I think over here, I think the question I'd be asking myself is, could I have done that differently and make better ground? Because I've got one village and got this sort of concerted conflict and engagement going on around this village, Salmuia. Now obviously what's going to happen next is the Syrian army are then going to react. Now, I don't have a lot to react with. That's one of the things that is sort of possibly worth bearing in mind. I mean, I've got this one unit here, so what have they got, sort of, strategically, so to speak? I mean, they've got a very weak line that is sort of going along like that, very weak line here, obviously it's a standard thing here. Now, what we do over here is something else, but in consideration to this, you might sort of think, well, what can they do? Well, they can't really do anything, so they might fall back with these units. They might say, well, we're going to fall back down this way, whilst at the same time moving up with these units to shield this artillery and start pounding these places, because basically we will get reinforcements. So we don't have a huge amount anywhere. I mean, we've got these mechanized units, and we've got a large stack there, which we've not considered this sort of left flank yet. So I think, you've got to say, well, what will the Syrian player do, given that there's still a large amount of HayAt Tahrir Al Sham here? I mean, bearing in mind that the Syrian army will start reinforcing heavily with air support. They're going to win, but it's this first sort of counterpunch that you're sort of thinking, well, how does that work? I'm not going to take it any further than that, because that would be probably even more complex than that first stage, and I haven't even done this side of it yet. I have things to do, but that is quite interesting, really. I think. I think one of the things that might be worth doing, and one thing I like about this game, is to play it again. So, well, can I actually A, do things differently, and B, will my luck vary to any significant degree that I could take all of those places? Well, I think if you played it enough times, you probably could take all of the places given some sort of degree of luck. It might be outlandish luck. But, for example, I could play it again and focus actually on taking out the weaker targets, on grounds that they are weaker, possibly taking all three of these locations, and then putting this surrounding that, because there's probably not much they can do, with the notion that they won't be able to reinforce it, and we could take it out at leisure next turn, possibly. But so to sort of play a game of advance, to take out these three hexes, to put pressure on there, so if we could get to there, there and there, and take that line there, so we ended up with a position of control like that, with a pocket there, that might be a more interesting situation. But I think, this is the nature of the game, to sort of, come up with the variants, and this is just the start. Halfway through the first turn, and there's a lot of turns in this, and again, I think that there's enough substance there, not to make a major game, but you could have a board game on this, a print and play, and you could play it multiple times, and you would build up not a portfolio, but a sort of a library of possible strategies that you could work through. And I think the question would be, is there enough viability in that and the permutations possible to make it an interesting mini scenario of that nature? And I think it is. I think it's, because we've yet to sort of really find out what the balance of power over here is. We've got an idea over here, and how it all works out in the long run. It could be a sort of a Sunday afternoon, 3 or 4 hour game that two people could play, for leisure and pleasure, so to speak. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Hope that you found that food for thought and entertaining. If you want to play that yourself and figure out how you would do it, you can sign up. You can play this and all the other 600 plus games. And have a blast. Okay, I'll speak to you later. Cheerio. Bye.